Presidential District Candidate Debate, sponsored by the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce and the Grand Strand Business Alliance. A couple of quick questions in a lightning round here. I'm just going to ask for your responses. In the first one, really just a show of hands would help us to get a couple of points here. A term if you're not familiar with, you would be in Washington, it's earmarks. So with a show of hands, who among you is against earmarks? Against earmarks.
Yes.
Are any hands for those who might not be against earmarks? Okay.
Get your hand up, Joe.
Now, the second question. How many of you support construction of I-73, which, as I understand it, has only been funded with earmarks and state revenues?
No.
Well, I've got, I think, 7 hands up there and 1 thumbs down and an abstention here.
Are you saying you only fund it with the earmarks?
I'm saying that currently there are no federal funds involved in this, and the earmarks are the way it's been done.
Y'all pay for it.
I'm opposed to earmarks, but I've been running on a merit-based appropriation system. We need to do something so we can continue to invest in our infrastructure in this country because it's vitally important. And I-73 is a vitally important project. So is the Southern Evacuation Lifeline.
Well, I knew earmarks was like opening a can of worms. Mr. Prosser, go ahead, and then I'm just... All right. If you get to Washington, watch out for the earmarks. Michael.
Okay, gentlemen and ladies, 15 seconds here or less. What are your top 3 federal programs you would cut should you be elected? And let's start with Dick Withington.
Top 3 federal programs that I would cut. Medicare can be cut. The military can be cut. Yes, it can. We spend 16 times more than the next 16 countries. We can cut it plenty, believe me. Yeah, okay, those two.
Thank you.
I've been in the military, I know what I'm talking about, you don't.
Thank you.
Mr. Jim Mader. Jim Mader, your top 3 programs you would cut should you be elected?
The Energy Department, would be the Energy Department, Education, and Commerce.
Jay Jordan.
Mine would be the same, energy, education, and commerce.
Energy, education, and commerce. Mr. Chad Prosser.
I would cut the hundreds of millions that we spend on Planned Parenthood. I would cut the 30 czars that have developed because federal agencies aren't effective. And I would privatize the Transportation Security Administration.
Andre Bauer.
The top 3 would be HUD, energy, education, but I'd go on to transportation, IRS, Fannie Mae, NPR, drastically in foreign aid, czars.
Mr. Tom Rice.
Folks, it's this bad. We're taking in $2.2 trillion a year. We're spending $1.9 trillion a year on mandatory spending, which is Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. We're spending $300 billion on interest. If we cut every federal program outside of those, we'd still have a deficit.
Amen.
But the top 3 I would say would be Obamacare, education, and energy.
Catherine Jennerette.
Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution clearly states what Congress is supposed to be mandating. It's supposed to be taking care of infrastructure, commerce, the post office, and the Department of Defense. Anything else needs to go.
Brandon Wallace.
Government needs a review top to bottom. Like Ronald Reagan said, there's a bunch of departments that we've gotten into that we have no business doing. We'd eliminate education, HUD, commerce, commerce, HUD, energy, and education. Plus, I think we need to go through a whole bunch of departments and figure out what the government should not be doing that the state should be doing and cut all that too, because we got to get this under control.
Renee Culler.
Department of Education, get rid of the IRS, and get rid of any department that gives entitlements to illegal aliens.
This next question is about an issue that's affected a lot of Grand Strand business owners. Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, businesses with pools are now required to have permanent pool lifts installed, yet some businesses say portable pool lifts are safer, more cost-efficient, and more effective. We have several hotels and rental properties in the 7th District that have to comply with the new regulation. Do you support this type of legislation? You have 15 seconds to answer. We're going to start with Renee Culler.
No, I do not. We have too many regulations right now. That's the problem with our government. That's why I'm the one that can go up there and bring jobs back, because I actually have worked in industry with a hard hat and steel-toe shoes. So I understand regulations on the side of industry and keeping industries in compliance.
Randall Wallace?
Absolutely not. We've got too many regulations, and you know stupid when you hear it. We have regulations that say you have to sprinkle a swimming pool, an indoor swimming pool. And I can tell you right now, I'm not swimming in a pool that you can catch on fire. We've got a fishing industry that's about to be put out of business based on best available data. That is a guess. You have no business. We need to go through all the government regulations and slice as many of them out, the ones that don't make sense. And like I said, you know stupid when you hear it.
Catherine Jenerath.
I would not support it, and the reason being is there's too much regulations that are not mandated. I mean, they're mandated by Congress, but then they're not paid for. They're not paying for these mandates. Someone at the end of that regulation has to end up paying for it out of their pocket, and I say no.
Tom Rice.
Another great example of federal overreach. We need to take a meat cleaver to these regulations. We're stifling business. We're running it overseas. My good friend Steve Chapman, I saw him out there earlier, has a couple of hotels with more than one pool. They're requiring him to put a fixed lift on every single water feature. That is a ridiculous overreach. I want handicapped people to have access, but a portable lift is just fine.
Andre Ballard?
I absolutely don't support this. This is the type of reason, this is what motivates me to run for office. This is what I get frustrated about when I start businesses. These are the exact things we're going through them right now in a business I'm open here locally. These are the kind of things that choke business down and make it so that people don't open new businesses.
Chad Prosser.
I oppose it. This is an example where good intentions, once they go through the federal system, become something that's absolutely ridiculous and burdensome to business. This is what's keeping our economy from growing. We absolutely need to fight against these types of regulations. In addition to the liability that it brings to businesses, it's another reason we need tort reform.
Jay Jordan.
Absolutely against it. This is a good example of the federal government trying to do something it thinks is a good idea and going about it all the wrong way and putting, instead of encouraging job creation and business growth, it's discouraging it. Be very, very careful, folks. When the federal government says, I'm from the government, I'm here to help, run the other way.
Jim Nader.
I actually talked with an ADA attorney, and he's read the bill, read the law, and basically he said that the portable lifts are sufficient, and I support the portable lifts, but mandating that every single pool have a permanent lift in place, no. Support the overreach of the federal government.
Dick Whittington.
My philosophy is that the government should